was healthy, dude, I took it for granted. I wasn't going to the gym. I didn't really care too much about the body. I was, eating pizza every day. I still eat pizza, but I was eating pizza every day, drinking, just like whatever. My body's working. It is what it is. And then when I lost half my body, it just changed me. I went savage mode, and I was like, I would do anything to be able to move my legs again.
All right, welcome to the CPI podcast here. Unfortunately, my fearless co-pilot Ed Clay couldn't make it. He's meeting with the doctors about some new treatments and stuff, but we'll hang out and go to dinner tonight. So got Paul Bass on here. Just met you up in Beverly Hills, huh? And I felt like we were like I had all of a sudden had a lifelong friend with all of our, ex-homies and stuff and people that, I mean, you've gotten to like ride and hang out with some of my heroes and stuff. I hear these guys like Sam and Sean Palmer and some of those guys. So that's cool, man. Welcome. Thanks for coming down to CPI.
Man, thanks for having me. Stoked what you guys are doing over here. Stoked that you're in action sports, right? It's you don't see too many people in this field in action sports. So for what you guys are doing over here is so cool, and I can see you guys helping a lot of athletes out there.
That's the plan, man. That's really, so coming originally I was pro snowboarder, was a skater, BMX, all that stuff, did some mountain biking, but then of course, jujitsu, MMA as I got a little bit older, but I've always, so my old roommate actually who got me into video stuff, his name's Eric DJ Whackball, Eric Jones. He was the music director at X Games. So I got to go to a lot of the early X Games all over the place and, meet some of the athletes and really cool stuff. And, that Ron Wilkerson too, and getting to, man, the slams, like we were talking about this, like everything has evolved so much that, the stuff that guys, it's like our bodies haven't gotten more advanced, but the jumps, the ramps and everything that everybody's doing has gotten so much sicker that, the injuries have gotten so much sicker.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing. I mean, but the progression of action sports for sure. I mean, you said you went to X Games in the early days, right?
Yep.
Like, I don't know when's the last time you've seen any X Games events, but it's so crazy now just to see the level of progression from all aspects of sports, and even like mountain biking. Like that's my background, right? So, I got in at 2004. And I went to this event called Crankworks last year, and that was like my big breakthrough moment when I won that event in 2004. And I went last year for the first time, basically, and I couldn't even relate to it anymore because of the progression was so over the top. It was so technical, but it was so cool to see the sport evolve so much.
I haven't been to X Games in a long time, but I got Instagram.
Yeah.
And I see some of the stuff that in all of the action sports, what people are just doing now. And it's just mind blowing to me.
Yeah. I'm stoked that I didn't get in now. I'm stoked that I got in when it wasn't so gnarly. Because,
when did you start?
So I started like racing BMX when I was 6 years old.
Nice.
And then started to get into freestyle right around like 14 years old. My parents got divorced. They couldn't take me to the races anymore. So I just got a little BMX dirt jump bike, and I went to the local skate park, learned a few tricks. And then next thing you know, a buddy of mine, Cameron Zink, he's a professional mountain bike athlete. He was like, hey, I think you should bring all that BMX tricks that you're doing on the mountain bike, and I think you can like change the sport. He's like, I'm gonna get you into this event called Crankworks, which the event I was just talking about. He's like, I'll let you borrow my bike, and I'll get you in. Next thing you know, I caught a flight to Whistler, borrowed my homie's bike, and ended up winning the whole event.
Wow.
And my life changed. Next day, I had a full factory ride with Conan bikes. I had a head-to-toe deal, and it became a career.
Wow, that's sick. So that was your very first So what? Tell people a little about what the event is like. You know what I mean? And like, what were some of the tricks? Like, what were people doing then? What were you doing?
So the discipline I do is called slopestyle, and think of it like a snowboard park. Bunch of features, but it's made out of dirt, right? So we have big jumps, we had big wood futures, big drops, and at the time, everybody in mountain biking was just like jumping stuff straight, maybe taking like a hand off or a foot off, uh, but nobody was doing like tail whips, backflips, big 360s, and I kind of brought that perspective into slopestyle mountain biking for the first time, and that was in 2004. And when I showed up to the course, I was definitely like skeptical because I never rode anything that big. Everybody, all my competitors had like big downhill bikes, so which is good for like those big jumps, but but it's not good because you couldn't do the technical tricks. So when I showed up with a hardtail single brake, I was able to like bring the BMX tricks into that event, and that's how I ended up winning. But now, if you watch slopestyle, everybody's on that bike.
Wow.
Everybody's on a hardtail, one brake, and it's so technical.
Change the game there, huh? And so that is it just about the tricks, or are they also riding down for time?
For slopestyle, you're judged on just how you go from the top of that course to the bottom. So you're getting judged on your tricks, style. You're not timed. It's just basically how you're going from top to bottom and how you are. I mean, it's like how many tricks can you throw down that line without messing up?
Got it.
Yeah, and usually there's like 12, 14 hits on a like a slopestyle
Everyone
course.
does the same line.
Yeah, and that's a bummer right now with slopestyle because back then, each rider you had more options on the course. Like there'd be like 5 different ways to get down the line, and now it's just like one big line to get down the course, and everybody rides the same features.
Wow. Okay.
Which I don't know if I'm down with.
Yeah.
Gets kind of repetitive, and I think the athletes are kind of the same way. I think, well, it's like it's like a lot of these athletes have their strengths and their weaknesses, right? A lot of these athletes are really good in like the technical aspects of slope style, and some of these guys just want to like hit the biggest feature with like huge extensions. So it's like it'd be good to kind of see each athlete be able to like capitalize on their strengths, and
Right.
when you build a course, it's just for like it doesn't really mix the two in, which I would like to see slopestyle kind of like switch it up a little bit because it's getting kind of repetitive, but at the same time, it makes it easy to judge. So I get it.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. So we had Mike Rooftop here, it was like last week or 2 weeks ago. And we were talking about the progression of BMX and skateboarding a lot and snowboarding. And, I felt like there was a point in snowboarding where like the style element became less important, like a guy could blast, or like Christian Hosoi style, like a huge gnarly method air where he was so high out, wasn't as impressive or judgeable or whatever you want to call it as somebody that could go up and do like a 540 or
Right.
720, just spin around as many times as possible. And it sounds like by only having one line, it's like less artistic. You know what I mean? Like somebody
Yeah.
might figure out a whole different line and do something way more stylish.
Yeah, it's what you were saying about like style. That's how it is with like mountain biking as well and slope style. I think they do this in the half pipe snowboarding now. Is like you have to have one mandatory trick that's not upside down. I think you have to have one like straight grab, which I think I love that concept just because it brings a whole new style in that sport. And I'm like, man, mountain biking slopestyle should do the same thing because right now, if you watch a run, it's like flips, spins. And it's like there's so much more in a slopestyle riding than just flips and spins. Like I
Yep.
think it'd be cool to see what you were saying, like um, one mandatory trick that's not a spin or a flip. So a good straight air Superman seat grab, a no hander, a good whip, something that showcases a different perspective of that riding because the new generation of slopestyle athletes, they don't learn the basics. They go straight to a foam pit and their first trick is a double flip. They
Right.
forget to learn the basics and it kind of it's kind of lame in a way. But the athletes that go straight to the foam pit, you can kind of tell when they get off the slopestyle course and they go ride down a big chute in the Red Bull Rampage, or you follow them down a trail because they have no bike skills.
Right. They didn't learn riding their BMX bike back and forth from school, finding some jumps in the woods with your friends, and
Yeah.
and learning how to crash and rip it up on just whatever you found.
Exactly.
You
And
know?
that's how we learn, right? It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
we would go down the street, build a little dirt jump, find some 2x4s and make something happen.
Yep.
We didn't have the foam pits. We didn't have those airbags. We found a soft pile of dirt, and we had to learn that way.
Yep. If you're lucky, there is a soft pile of dirt.
Yeah,
I was the launch ramp era on the pavement.
that's funny.
If you couldn't jump over the hood of the car, then you weren't cool, you know?
Yeah.
Figuring that one out, and those crashes. I mean, I wish like a foam pit, man, like you watch guys on that, you're like, oh, where was that? You know?
That would have saved my body a lot.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because I've broken a lot of bones learning tricks because I didn't have the right tools. Like, well, the tools didn't exist then.
Right.
You know, we didn't have the foam pits. We didn't have the airbags. The coolest thing that I did, as far as like safety wise, was building a ramp and throwing it in back of my mom's truck and bringing it out to the river and finding like a spot to like learn
Launch into the
tricks.
river.
Yeah.
So you guys didn't go to the dump and find the old mattresses and you put those on the sides of the half pipe, and then it would rain after a while and they get all nasty and gross.
I'm pretty sure I did that too after
Yeah.
watching Rad, the movie.
Yes.
The Crew
remember
Jones.
that? Yeah.
That definitely inspired me to learn backflips. But yeah, I didn't learn backflips in a foam pit or airbags or anything. The first time I ever did a flip was, like I said, when I brought that ramp out to the river and
Learn them there. Huh?
did a lot of belly flops.
I mean, how scary was it going from the river to the first time on land?
It was scary. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, just because the setup was so different.
Yeah.
The dimension of the ramp was a lot more steep than the water jump. So like it was easy to get around. And the first time I ever did it onto dirt, the lip was a lot more mellower.
Oh,
So you had to yank a
really
lot harder.
throw it.
Yeah. So it was a huge learning curve. And I think after a few months, I was like, no problem. It was like one of those things that repetitively, if you keep doing every day, it just kind of like just sinks into your brain, and it just becomes second nature.
I never did one on a bike, but I learned them on trampolines, on a snowboard, and then I learned them on the snow. The snowboard. And snow is a lot more forgiving.
Yeah.
You know, you find a nice soft spot of snow. Living in Colorado at the time, so plenty of soft snow. But I found that like after a while, like backflips almost just became easy. You know, just throw your head back and spot the landing. As long as you see the landing, you're good.
Yeah, I have some friends like on the mega ramp, like the mega ramp at X Games. I think it's like the big side 75 feet. I have friends that won't jump it straight. They have to do a flip.
Yeah.
They feel more comfortable flipping a gap like that opposed to like jumping it straight, which is so crazy to me because I wouldn't want to flip a 75-foot jump right off the back. I'd rather like straight air it, but some people feel more comfortable being upside down than just jumping it straight.
It gives their brain something to do in the air, huh?
I don't know. It's not for me.
What
though.
about these guys on the dirt bikes now? Like triples and stuff, right? Like,
Yeah, FMX and Moto, like that scene, gosh, that scene blew up very fast, and the progression is crazy. Like I never thought, like I remember when seeing Curry Hart do the first backflip at Gravity Games. I remember like seeing that. I'm like, damn, the sport has just changed.
yeah.
And I thought, you'd see a lot of flip variations. You 360s, like that's where I thought, like as far as that sport would go. And then Travis opens up the door with a double flip, and you're like, oh my gosh, where's this sport gonna go? Like, is it ever gonna stop? And I don't even know where it's at today. I don't follow FMX too much, but I know the Aussie guy Josh did a triple flip at Prashana's house a couple years ago for a Nitro Circus, and oh man, so glad I don't ride FMX.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember back in the day, like Krusty, like Seth Enslow with his like monster, and now it's like average.
It stresses me out, and I grew up in Minden, Nevada, which is outside of Lake Tahoe, and all my buddies that I grew up with are pro FMX racers or riders. You got Adam Jones, Matt Byton, Dustin Miller, Mike Mason, Sean Palmer lived over there, and I would always see those guys rip moto and stuff, and I enjoyed watching them, but I never had any interest of like actually like doing it.
Yeah.
And it's I feel like it's a very easy way to get hurt. I mean, I'm not saying mountain biking's like chill and it's not dangerous, but for some reason having like all that horsepower underneath you, I just feel like that's just a recipe to like to get hurt.
Yeah. All that weight too, landing on you.
Yeah, and I try to ride moto a little bit, and the whole throttle, dude, I cannot jump a moto if my life depended on it.
Yeah, really.
Like if you see me on a mountain bike, like I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I'm way more comfortable on a mountain bike than I am walking today. And but if you see me on a moto, I don't get the throttle. Like I'm good on the Suron.
Yeah.
But like if you put me on like on a 250 or 450, I'm like, no way. This is way too much
power.
Way too much ponies for me.
Yeah. So much power. Like just the Suron messes me up with the no clutch though.
Yeah.
That's taken a little while to get used to.
It took me a while to learn how to jump that thing too, because it's electric and I feel like it winds up quick.
So quick. Yeah.
Depending like on what type of sprocket you have in the back. If you have the stock one, it's good. But if you modify it to like a little bit bigger of a sprocket, it winds up quick and it's like easy to get that front end up when you jump it.
Wait, yeah, I looped mine.
Yeah.
not too long ago, about a month ago, looped that thing over, landed flat on my back, knocked the wind out of myself.
Make sure you always have that finger on that rear brake, at all times. Especially in situations like that.
Too,
Yeah, that's the other thing that confused me because it's opposite of mountain biking.
Yep.
I was thinking about putting the rear brake on the throttle side.
Yeah.
But I think that would kind of screw me up too.
But you don't use your front brake as much as I feel like you do on a mountain bike.
No, only when you're like going down some like steep sections. But usually I always have my right finger on the rear brake.
Yeah.
And when I ride the Suron, I get mixed up because they're opposite, right? But I don't know how it would feel if I had the throttle and the rear brake on the same side. It'd be hard.
Yeah, it could be hard to grab it. Yeah.
Haven't done it yet, but
that's right.
All my mountain bike buddies are like, you need to swap it. I think it's the way to go.
Maybe just swap the throttle.
Oh, to the left side?
Yeah.
Fuck, that's
even more different.
Yeah, my brain's spinning right now.
Or get the thumb throttle.
Yeah, like a jet ski.
They got the they have the thumb throttle for the for the Suron too. You can switch it to where you have a thumb throttle. Yeah. So the grip doesn't turn.
They're so fun.
You know. Oh, you got to come out to Vegas.
I know. I'm hyped that you got Vegas,
some. Do the tunnel rides.
I'm gonna do the
for
tunnels.
Sure. We'll get my buddy Coach Casey from 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu in Las Vegas. His buddy, BMXer guy. They got them all mapped out, dude. And like, we've gone on some crazy rides under Vegas.
You guys can start some conspiracies with those tunnels.
Start dodging some homeless people. There, I can tell you about so many of them, but there's this one that's like a tube. It's probably 12-foot diameter tube. So it's not like you're riding up the sides of it or anything, but you're kind of doing this, going through it. And then it pops out into this big giant room. And the room has, I think, 6 other tunnels that branch off of it. But the room is like gigantic. And there's like a whole group of people that have brought pallets. And I don't know how they carry these pallets so far down these tunnels. It's a good like 3-4 minute ride on a Suron just to get to this room. But they've got 4 feet in pallets stacked up with their tents and their beds and all of their stuff. So the
homeless people are bringing them in.
Yeah, the homeless people are bringing like a whole thing, and it's got like some type of grate thing at the top, so it's got a little bit of sunlight that comes in it, so your eyes you can see in there. But they got their own little community in there, and it's cool in the summer. It's probably warmer in the winter. You got 6 different routes you can escape to go wherever you go in there. But I've gone through it before and then come back into the room, and the homeless people are cool, man. Like I bring them water, just say hi, treat them like humans. You know what I mean? But I've had to ask them. I'm like, oh, okay, which one of these comes out by Lee's Liquor again? And they're like, the left one over here. Don't take the middle one. It's clogged with trash right now. They know. And these mole people, they got their whole like route coming through it, but it is so fun, man. I should just gave away where that one is. I feel like too many people are finding out about the tunnels, and our own private playground is like going away.
Gosh, I'm excited and scared to do it.
Yeah.
Just
I
miles
want Sam
of tunnels.
Pilgrim, if you're listening, come to the tunnels. He would love. I just love the way his free riding around the city. He would go nuts in there.
Oh,
man.
he would have a blast, and he would be totally down to do that.
Yeah.
Like I can already like see Pilgrim just being so stoked of just going on a adventure under the tunnels, and he'll be scared. It's easy to scare Pilgrim. So
that guy gets scared. He looks like he never gets of what, mole people or of jumps.
Like he gets excited, scared.
Yeah.
Like he's not like terrified of like things. I think he just gets like he gets so excited that he like scares himself.
Yeah.
So
some people get scared of the homeless people down there. And when you're first riding, some of those banks are like 20, 25 feet, you know, and I upgraded my tires, but when I had the stock tires, if you got a little bit too much twitchy on the gas, the back end slides out and you spin the whole way down it, you know. And there's also like these drainage. Sometimes you ride a hole. There's these drainage holes in the middle of the slope. And if you don't see them, we were riding along one day, a guy didn't see it, and just whole front of the bike goes in it, and he gets pitched off down.
That's exactly what I do not want to do. Do you have a headlamp as well?
I upgraded the lights on my front of my bike. You kind of have to, because like there's a couple of them. Like there's one that's 3 miles long, and it's narrow. But this one, they actually sweep it out. I don't know why, but you could see where the machine brushes all the trash out of it. And so it's like perfectly smooth, but it's completely dark. It's 3 miles long and it winds around a little bit. And so you can blast through it at like 40, 50 miles an hour, and all the graffiti's going by. You feel like you're in Tron.
Wow.
You know, it's just like, but it's dead quiet. You know, Surrounds are quiet.
Right.
And you're just cruising through, and, you know, it's fun.
I'm getting the chills. I'm going to do it for sure.
Like the first few times, you know, like I always take a lap on that one at normal speed, because one time I went all the way through and I was coming back, and all of a sudden there was a dude sleeping in the middle of it. I almost hit him.
No way.
But you go through once and you go through back. And you know, you want to be careful of those people and stuff.
I'm going to roll up to your spot with a headlamp, 3 flashlights.
That's good. Yeah.
I'm going to be prepared.
I got 2 huge LEDs on my bike.
Yeah.
You can get a headlamp too.
I want all the lights.
We usually go with like a little posse, so everybody.
I'm not going to be flipping over the handlebars on some running over some homeless guy.
No, you won't be. Just bunny hop them. That's what I do. Just bunny hop over them. It's fine, you know. So, but yeah, Sam, if you're watching, I got my shoes on here right there.
The RC
I'm ready
kicks.
for them to come out. You know,
so cool.
So we'll get you guys out there for sure.
We're gonna be down there in October for the Red Bull Rampage.
Yeah. I want to go check that out.
We fly into Vegas, so we'll definitely do a little pit stop, and you guys show us the tunnels.
I got the trucks.
Yeah.
We can roll out there.
Yeah, you got to come check out Rampage too. You would have a lot of respect, and you would enjoy that event.
Oh yeah, those guys blow me away, dude.
It's I mean, you've been to a lot of like sporting events. You're a big UFC guy, but Rampage is it's its own beast.
Yeah.
That's the reason why it only happens once a year.
Yeah.
And that's if you're lucky.
Yeah.
They stopped it for a couple of years because it's a gnarly event.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I got hurt. That's where that event took me out, right?
Yep.
But I still enjoy going there. It's hard. It's hard. It's not hard for me to go there for what happened to me. It's hard for me to go to watch my athletes and my buddies dropping in, because every year there's a big crash.
Yep.
When I say a big crash, it's like someone's getting helicoptered out of that place.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always the same way in fighting. It's always worse when your friends are fighting than when you're fighting. It's like more tense, more stress, more fear, more whatever, whatever it is. And stuff.
And that's like weird, because like UFC is like, you roll up and you're kind of bound to like, I mean, get hurt in a way, unless you like choke someone out or you do the Connor, what he did with Aljo, like knock him out for the first round. But like if you go to past the second round, like you're gonna get damaged a little bit. I feel like
Oh, for sure.
like I don't feel like any UFC fighters really leave the ring without a bruise, unless it's like a quick knockout, like
But then they got beat up and bruised
practice.
the whole way up. You
Yeah,
know? Even
yeah.
if you win, you fight. It probably means you got your butt beat in practice.
Yeah, like
in your
UFC
fight
fighters,
camp.
they never fight at 100%, huh?
You know.
Because they always have some sort of
I think
injury
it's rare.
for training.
I never
camps.
fought professional MMA or anything. Just a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments, and you're never 100% for any of them. You know. But I think it's different. Like nobody leaves in a helicopter. You know, it's just a different type of thing. I mean, does anybody have a crash there where they're not leaving all beat up and bruised? You know, I mean, I guess you're lucky if you know, all your practice runs, everything, you never crash.
It's like if you walk out of the event with with a sling or like a gash or a bruise, then you won the event.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
if you got out of that event by yourself, you won.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Man, how frequently are guys crashing? Not necessarily like a tragic crash, but just like, you know, you're washing out or whatever.
Quite a bit, man. And it's like these guys, they go out there a week before and they bring a whole like team out there to go build their line, and they have to go guinea pig it, right? So they bring a whole team of diggers. They go and shape this line down this crazy hill, and they're the ones that has to test it out to see if it works. And a lot of the times when these athletes go and drop in and hit the jumps for the first time, they end up wrecking themselves and not even getting to the event.
Yeah.
So it happens quite often. Like there'll be like 20 athletes on the roster for the finals, and the next day you'll see and it's like, oh, there's only 13 now.
Wow. That many. Crazy. And so this is different than Crank was the other event.
Crank works.
Where everybody can do their own line, take their own line, right?
Yeah. So like slopestyle riding, the type of bike you're on is like a 4-inch travel bike, slopestyle. Some ride hardtails, some other athletes ride a 4-inch travel suspension up front, 4 in the rear, 1 brake, sometimes 2. It's very groomed, very engineered really well. Pretty safe, like pretty safe. Not too many injuries in the slopestyle game. And then Red Bull Rampage is a big mountain event, and you're on a big old downhill bike with 200 millimeter travels of travel. The bikes are a lot heavier, and the terrain that you're going down is very exposed, a lot of ridge lines, super steep, and if you make a mistake out in that zone, out in Zion Park where the Red Bull Rampage event happens, you're gonna be tumbling down the hill. It's a lot gnarlier. It's a whole different it's own beast. It's a crazy event, and it's a very dangerous event, and that's why it only happens once a year.
Yeah. Damn, that takes some serious cojones.
Yeah.
To do that, man. I've been out riding just the Suron and stuff around, just nothing hard, but like it's the broken up rock, you know what I mean? It's just different. Like it's not dirt. It's just like slides.
Yeah.
Feels very unstable and very unforgiving, you know.
It's just very exposed. Like you make a mistake up top, and then it's so steep that when you crash, you're not stopping. You're just tumbling down the hill.
Down, yeah, man.
But people love watching it. It's the number one viewed event that Red Bull puts on.
Oh wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the craziest. It looks the craziest. That's that, and those guys on those planes, man. Those guys on those planes on that Red Bull thing. I just started flying, like seeing what those guys do with those planes. I realized, there's a whole another level in that too.
The aerobatics,
and like the course one. Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So low. They're like so low to the ground. You start learning about flying, and you realize like how fast, you know, 3,000 feet sounds high until you have a problem.
Yeah.
And then you realize that you're a brick falling to the ground in just a few seconds. Like,
Yeah.
it's, there's not a lot of time to fix anything when you're at that height. You know?
I'm terrified of heights, man.
Yeah.
So for you to get your pilot license, that's a
How are you
savage move.
terrified of heights and you do these
I know,
giant
it's so
jumps
weird.
up
It's
in the air?
different. It's different. It's like, it's hard to explain. Like when you're up on top of the mountain, you're like, okay, I feel comfortable. I'm on the bike. It's like, it's not like you're looking straight off a cliff. You kind of are, but you're not.
Yeah.
But like when you're in the plane, like you're looking below and you're like, whoa, I'm pretty high up here. And I got used to it, but it still kind of like terrifies me for sure. Like
That's so interesting.
I'm scared of flying a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like the exact opposite. So when you have Dominic Cruz on your podcast, ask him about the day we climbed this cliff on his birthday. Yeah, we climbed up this cliff down like south by Lake Mead, and it was like a old ladder up a cliff. Oh my God, I've never been so scared in my whole life. Then I thought I gotta climb down this thing. Like,
Oh, that can be
and just looking down. Like when we looked up at it, like the cliff part didn't look that big, but then when you finally hiked up to it, you realize you're like 500-600 feet of. So when you're like looking down, you're like, oh well, yeah. If I fall, I'm not falling to the bottom of the cliff part. I'm falling all the way down to the bottom of this thing. Like you're saying, there's no like stopping. It's so steep. You're gonna roll all the way down that thing to the bottom. Yeah. And the ladder was like loose on the old and rickety. So when the wind came, it would slide only like an inch. But that inch when you're
that high up,
it was like, oh my God, man, yes.
Yeah.
I hate him.
don't invite me on those trips.
But when I'm up in the plane, man, I just look out there. I'm like, like it doesn't. I don't know if it's. I'm like the opposite. It doesn't bother me.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many hours do you have in a plane?
Not very many. But I don't have that many hours climbing cliffs. Way less.
Because I think once you learn like all the once you learn about all the mechanics of the airplane and what it's able to do and stuff, I think you become a lot more comfortable in flying.
Yeah.
It's like once you know like what you're in, then it's like, because like I have a lot of buddies back in Tahoe that are pilots, and they're like, hey, does this scare you? And he turns off the motor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's scaring me. And like, well, we're gonna land like this.
Yeah.
And it, they're on bush planes, so it's a little bit different. But and then they're able to go and land on these rugged terrains with these big old off-road tires, tail draggers, bush planes, yeah. And I'm like, okay, that actually made me a lot more comfortable flying, knowing what these planes are able to do if there's like a big situation that you need to go into like emergency landing.
Yeah. Well, and part of it is like studying all these crashes for the test, and like knowing what to do. And, one thing I've really learned is that at least for inexperienced new pilots, it's like ego is the number one reason. Mm-hmm. You don't want to you're landing and you're off and you want to force it. And so just calling the tower like, hey, I got to do a go around. And it's like so many accidents are from that person who just wants to force it instead of just fly back around.
What's the plane with the parachute?
Cirrus.
What's do you know?
There's a couple of them now, but Cirrus is the most famous.
What's does that actually help? Like, does that work? Like, have people
in certain situations? Yeah, people have used it. Yeah, for sure. Well, there's a stigma around those planes because like they call them the doctor killer, and that's actually the one I'm looking to buy. Maybe. I
don't like the name
of it,
but
it's you have to have time for that parachute to open in order for it to be effective. And then there's other ones. It's so funny. I've been studying this last 2 weeks. There's other times people just panic and pull the chute when they didn't even need to pull the chute.
And when you pull the chute, it totals the plane, right?
Yes, total. Even if the plane touches down nice by the law, the plane's totaled.
Is there any footage out there of people actually pulling the chute?
Tons of it. Tons of them. Yeah, just go on YouTube and you'll see a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
You'll see a whole bunch of them. But so that's the and then the chute has to guaranteed work. So there's actually been cases where people pull a chute for whatever reason, it malfunctions, but then they end up landing the plane with the chute dragging behind them
safely.
Yeah. So
but
they could have landed.
If you're in a situation
anyways.
like saying you're flying over BC and you have a bunch of trees below you, parachute's probably not going to help you in that situation.
If you have a bunch of trees, probably if it slows you down, then you hit the trees. The trees are, I'm not an aviation expert by any means, but There's just different people. People think that, you should always just try to land the plane because planes, like they want to glide, they
Right.
want to land. Now, if you're in a collision, that's where this chute really comes in handy because if you're damaged to your plane where you can't fly it, then you have the chute. But it seems like, at least like I was saying with new pilots, it's mostly pilot air and you're too low to where the chute doesn't work.
And what's like stall speed on one of those planes?
I think stall on the Sirius is like 60 something.
Okay, so you're still
knots,
cooking.
Yeah,
you're still cooking because like a bush plane.
But stall like has more to do with your angle,
right?
Your angle, your attitude, than it does the speed.
I feel like those little bush planes are like little golf carts in a way because their stall speed can be like 25 miles per hour. It's super. You can land those things like not even moving.
I've been in a couple. One of our doctors, Dr. Matt, has a plane and we flew in it. I swear to God, I could run faster than that plane was going. I kept looking out the window like, am I going to drop out of the sky? We are going so slow. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're not very practical from getting to point A to point B. I think like top speed, my buddy has a Kit Fox. It's an experimental bush plane. And I think top speed on that thing is like 98 miles per hour.
Yeah. But it goes anywhere.
Anywhere and it can land anywhere.
And
that's
super
the coolest
short
thing.
landing. Yeah.
Like he could roll up to the Red Bull Rampage site and land on top of that ridge line.
Right there. Wow, that's sick.
Yeah, it's cool. Like I wish I was a Savage and I had my pilot license, especially when I was competing, because like that would have been like the ultimate like way to get to these events is throwing the bike in the back of the plane and just rolling up and landing at Rampage.
That's so funny that you're saying that because I flew in a SR22 turbo a couple weeks ago and I was asking the guy, I'm like, all right, put these seats down, and I'm like, all right, so I'm going to have these 2 batteries that weigh that much. Like, so you have to weight where you put the weight in the plane is very important too. And I'm trying to figure out, can I fit 2 Surons and 2 people in this plane and where can we fly to ride?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I like you have to take the wheels off and it'd be a little art of getting them through the door. It would be kind of the problem, but
you can't do it here in the U.S. because the FAA. But in New Zealand, I saw one. They had bikes attached to the wings.
Get out.
Yeah, underneath.
Really?
And I think you're able to do that in like different countries, like New Zealand, I believe, can do it as well. But like in the States, you're not allowed. But that would be the ultimate move, is being able to. Put
I
like
wonder how that would mess with the aerodynamics.
Yeah,
and stuff's crazy.
And then you have to think about, I mean, are you able to fly with that much wattage with a lithium battery?
That's another question. I guess that has to do with how high you fly, right?
Because like, so I can't fly with my e-bike because of the battery.
Yeah.
So every time I go and do these video shoots, I have to ship my bike. Yeah. Because the airlines will.
But you got to remember the airplanes are flying at a way higher altitude.
For sure.
And they got, 300 people on board. If my Cirrus catches on fire,
you got the parachute.
I got a parachute and a fire extinguisher.
Here
we go.
You're good. That parachute. You better hope.
I've been in dumber situations.
You better hope you never have
life.
to pull that parachute. That's all I got to say.
I heard that's how you get a new plane. You just pull the parachute and then your insurance buys you a new plane. So that's how you upgrade.
Gosh. Flying so cool, but that might be the new way to get around here soon, though.
Yeah. You got those drone things coming, right?
My buddy's working on the carbon mold door for the first flying Uber.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's coming.
Yeah.
Not sure when.
See, that's like even like imagine a bunch of drones, people flying over your house and everything. Like, I don't know.
It's gonna get weird.
It's gonna get weird. I'm like anti like self-driving cars too, because like I don't want someone telling me which direction, how fast. And I drive fast. I like to drive at night. I like to drive the route I want to drive. All that, I'm Gen X. You know what I mean? Never wore a helmet. Yep. Never got to stay in the house and play video games.
It's gonna be weird. You're gonna be like, it's cool and it's gonna suck. It's gonna be cool in the sense of like.
As long as it's optional, like you can say, today I don't want to drive up the 101 freeway in traffic. Autopilot, let's go. Yeah. But if I'm like, I want to go to Vegas And they're like, the speed limit is 65 and you cannot take the 210 route to save 10 minutes
But
and
it's
less
going to be
traffic.
cool in the sense of like, oh, I'm like super tired, I'm exhausted, I'm jet lagged, whatever the situation is. Car drive me to Vegas.
Yeah. That part I agree with.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. We'll see.
Scary as well, but
then it's going to like, yes, we'll drive you there at 45 miles an hour and it'll take you 8 hours to get there.
no. I hope it's not like that.
Hopefully they can go faster because they can all connect and think
Yeah, or
for
someone hacks
themselves
the
and,
system.
and do something like that. Yeah. That'll
Damn,
be good.
we're in a crazy transition right now in life, huh?
We are. Fourth turning. Yeah.
Wow, it trips me out.
It's interesting. Just even like the technology in stem cells
Yeah.
in these last years, how much stuff has advanced compared to like what we used to do in the US and what was available. We have our brand new chondrocyte cells, a cartilage-like cell.
Is that the newest?
Yeah, that's the newest that we have here. We have we have heart stem cells, lung, liver, neural, like all these different stem cells that are on the way, and the changes that it's going to be able to make in people's health and stuff is, I mean, even just what we see, we got some returning patients over here that, you already met, people that are having, somebody was here was struggling with some dementia issues, blew out their knee and, now getting her knee, treated, and just stuff that wasn't an option 5 years ago,
You guys are crushing. I was actually very surprised when I rolled in. I'm not gonna lie. Like when you hear stem cells, like you get kind of scared. Like for me, like I'm gonna just give it to you at my perspective because I had stem cells before, and it's like you don't know too much about it. The FDA does not approve in the U.S. So right there, you're kind of like skeptical on it, right? And when I rolled up to your guys' facility here, I was like, whoa! Like I was like surprised how like clean. Your whole team's very professional, and I felt like I was home. Like I didn't feel uncomfortable. I was just like I'm getting stem cells like with an ocean view.
Yeah. It's
And
a nice view. Huh?
it is, yeah. You guys got a cool setup. My question is though, is like, when's this gonna get approved in the U.S.? Is this ever gonna happen in the U.S.?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. We're publishing our first paper here like any day now. It's on 30 patients for disc injections. The results look fantastic on it. So that's the first step. And then, we're really lucky in the fact that, right now you're at the outpatient clinic because the hospital's under renovation, but we'll go take a walk through and you can check it out. But we're a full hospital. So, and we're getting approved to be a trials site. And so we can do trials. And so, we'll have to have outside, it's called an IRB, Independent Review Board. But, we've done some trials at our hospital before. So we're really hoping that we can kind of time collapse the system, fast track it. One of the biggest problems for people for, doing clinical trials is getting patients. Well, there's 24 of you guys here this week doing treatment. We don't have a problem getting patients. If we're doing it for free, it'll be even easier to get patients. And we want to do our clinical trials for free for veterans. That's a few years off right now. But I think that, so Francisco, my business partner, he's been involved in trials before already. So I can't say when it's going to be available, but I really do think it will be available. There's some other stem cells, I believe, that are close to finishing the process. They're older technology ones. But the trick really is going to be to how do you get it through the process, the approval process fast enough that the technology that you're getting isn't already outdated. Because just like we were talking about with action sports, like
same with
everything, now we got AI coming in with the cancer treatments we're going to be doing at the cancer part of our hospital, which is going to take it to a whole nother level of what we can do for the patients using AI to figure out the best treatments for their specific type of cancer. We'll be able to like sequence the DNA of their malignant tumors and, use AI to search hundreds of millions of cases to find, the best possible thing. We have our own in-house, our own in-house cellular laboratory. It's actually right behind you guys where you're sitting doing your treatments. That's actually the stem cell lab through those glass doors. And we also have our own compounding pharmacy in-house, so we can make everything in-house as well. And so just being able to put all of that together and being an actual trial site, I think we can do it quicker than anybody. Right now, we're really looking to publish as much data as we can. Ed and I both come from fight backgrounds, and it's a lot like, like mountain biking. Either you went down the run and you nailed your tricks, or you didn't. There's no faking it, at all. And that's, I feel like there's some, companies out there that, talk about all the amazing things that they do. And I'm not saying that they don't, but we're going to actually publish the data, get it peer reviewed, and actually, be able to hand somebody, here's a case study of 300 people with a similar injury of yours. Now you know exactly what you can expect.
Okay, so you show the FDA all the logistics, you show them the papers, you show them that, hey, this stuff is legit, it works. How long would it be for them to be like, cool, we'll bring this to the States? Like,
I don't know the actual timelines on it because I've never been involved in anything like that. But you do, there's three trials, right? The first one is safety, second one is efficacy, and then the third one is you kind of got to prove it either against existing treatments or against like a placebo. And one of the biggest problems is each one of those costs so much money. And there's money in putting the trial together, but also in getting all the patients and getting all of that together. I think by being able to do a lot of that in-house, using our own facility, but with independent people, getting patients, I don't think will be an issue for us at all.
Like, how much money do you need to start a first trial, like a clinical trial?
Ooh, that's a good question.
If you say Elon Musk is my homie,
it's different.
And
it's all
Elon.
different ones. I probably, 10 to 50 mil, I would guess. Damn. Something like that, to go like maybe to get all the way through phase 300. But these are guesses. I don't know. I've never done it. I don't know. I just heard people talk about how expensive it is. But it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
What do you think is the most misunderstanding when it comes to like stem cells?
Probably like the source of the cells. Like if you ever go on my Instagram, like here's a funny story. So, after one of the first times that Joe Rogan mentioned us on the podcast, we got so many phone calls, and some people are just bored and have nothing to do with their life, or they just think they're more morally superior to people. And I started having people fake that they had injuries to book a call with our doctors, because we do a free doctor call consultation, to yell at them for murdering babies. And it's like,
it's not like that.
Well, that's not like, that's old school. Like, it's nothing going on like that. We would never do anything like that. So I literally had to start forcing the people put a deposit in to make sure, like, you have to put in a $2,500 deposit, which is fully refundable. But I know you actually want to talk to a doctor for the right reason if you're willing to fork out that kind of money, right?
Yeah.
Just to stop them from like terrorizing. So, like that's one thing, people, there's this lady going back and forth with Ed on my Instagram right now, claiming that we stole someone's placenta, and it's like, well, these are umbilical storage stem cells. Anyways, like, what are you talking about? People just make shit up. So I think that one, and then people's expectations. I think what they expect the stem cells to do, like when I was talking to people in there today, you're regrowing tissue. Well, tissue takes time to mature and strengthen, and people, I think, America, we always want everything fast and done yesterday and quick and easy, and people need to look at their stop thinking about how quickly can I get back to whatever I want to do? How quickly can I get back on my bike? To how much longer will I be able to enjoy my bike pain-free, if I do this right. So I get it. If you're a professional athlete, we get a ton of those people down. They're like, look, I got to feel better in 2 weeks, a month to do this event. That's one thing. But for the normal person, It's like, well, do you really need to be able to play golf in 3 days, or would you rather be able to play golf pain-free for another 5, 8, 10 years of your life?
Right.
You know, which one's really your goal?
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. The timeline, longevity. That's the key.
So
That's the key.
it's
We're not getting any younger.
nope. Me especially.
Gosh,
I feel great though.
Yeah, I'm
We gotta get you feeling great, buddy.
Yeah,
I mean, your story's amazing, bro. When you were there at that, where were we at? Soho House, and you're like, yeah, I willed my way back to walking again. I'm like, what? I broke my back too. Tell me the story here. Like, what happened? You know, like,
yeah. I'm actually in better shape now today than I was when I was competing at the top of my sport.
wow.
And I think because when you lose it all, it gives you a whole new perspective of life.
Yeah.
And there's that quote. It's like, a healthy man wishes a million things, and a healthy man wishes one thing.
Yeah.
And that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was healthy, dude, I took it for granted. I wasn't going to the gym. I didn't really care too much about the body. I was, eating pizza every day. I still eat pizza, but I was eating pizza every day, drinking, just like whatever. My body's working. It is what it is. And then when I lost half my body, it just changed me. I went savage mode, and I was like, I would do anything to be able to move my legs again.
Yeah.
And that was my mission, and it's still my mission. I'm able to walk now. I walk with a cane, but like short distance, I'm able to get around without the cane. But that didn't happen overnight. I'm 7 years into this journey, and the first few months, that was a very scary situation in my life when you couldn't move anything from your belly button down, and it was mentally, it was like a massive challenge, just because I think when you're in that situation, you look so much in the future, and you're like living in this new body of yours, and you're like, is my life supposed to be like this now? Like, how do I continue living my life when, my whole life I was so dependent on my body for making me happy, making a paycheck, right? Like, when all that gets taken away from you, it changes you. And I would, I would literally look into the future, and that wasn't like really healthy, I think, because the scariest thing about a spinal cord injury is that no one knows what your future looks like. You can visualize how your future looks, and I just put my head down and went to work. And I made it a priority that I was going to do everything I can to be able to move my legs, stand up, and to walk again. And it didn't happen overnight. I'm 7 years in it, and I'm very blessed where I'm at. I'm learning a lot. I'm still learning a lot, still figuring out a lot. With the spinal cord injuries, they say you get the most in the first 2 years as far as recovery. Well, I found that out. That's bullshit. I've actually got a lot stronger, probably year 4, year 5 in this injury. I think it's just consistency is the name of the game. And I think you just got to be very determined, and you just got to put the work in every single day, regardless if you see any gains or not.
That makes sense. Yeah. I got to get you to come talk to the cancer patients upstairs too, because it's a very similar, it's different, but it's the same.
Yeah.
Like, they're losing their body and the way that it functioned and stuff, and how much of it is like mental. One of the things that really, really upsets me that doctors sometimes do is they give people expiration dates.
Yeah.
Or they give you a limit. They say, oh, the first 2 years is, what you're going to get. And it's like, so frequently they're wrong, and it's just like, why even put that out there? You don't know.
And,
I
listened to it. I mean, not only did I listen to it, I mean, Red Bull listened to it as well. And the reason I bring that name up is because I did a documentary with Red Bull about this whole injury. It's called Any One of Us. It's on HBO. And when we started this project, it was like, okay, we're only going to shoot for 2 years because that's your time frame, Paul.
Right.
And you're not going to get better in 2 years. So, like, for me, living in the situation, I was looking at the clock every single day.
Right.
I'm like, fuck, I got 6 months to go, and that's going to be my new life, you know? And that's not the case. And we stopped filming after 2 years. And if you watch that film now and you see me today, you wouldn't even recognize me. You wouldn't even recognize that was me in that film, because I've made so much progression since that film was done.
Yeah. It's I went through that with my mom too. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't know, doctor. Just like this is where we're at. We'll see where it's gonna be. You know, it's kind of crazy the way it happens.
And maybe 7 years from today, I'll come back on the pod and I'm jogging it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you never know. Like,
Yep.
I'm gonna continue putting the same work in, and we'll see where this takes me. You know, I'm 7 years deep. I'm not gonna like give up anytime soon, and I'm actually kind of enjoying it. It's kind of weird. It's like it sounds pretty effed up to like say that, but I'm like enjoying to like see how far I can take myself mentally and my body to what people thought was impossible.
Yeah. Have you learned any like techniques or tricks or things like mental wise that have kept you so focused and like you said, you're enjoying the process, you know, of it? Like how, you know, like any advice, anything that's worked for you that you could share?
I think you just gotta like switch things up a little bit. Like obviously stay consistent with it, but it's okay to like switch things up. You know, like I'm super into cold plunging now. I'm super into like infrared saunas and just learning new stuff. Listening to new podcasts, linking up with people like you. Always just like kind of branching out from your little bubble. Like if you get stuck in that little circle of yours, I think it's kind of hard to continue getting motivated. So I think it's important to like kind of branch out and just try new things and just keep continuing to stay consistent with it.
Yeah.
And
So
don't put a timeline on it. And that's the thing, because like you're not like, and it's easy for me to say that, but I struggle with that still today. It's like I'm like, oh gosh, like 7 years, like okay. I'm like, I wish I was able to do like a calf raise. I wish I was able to walk across that street without even thinking twice of doing that. But I know that day will come. It's just you just got to be like patient. And I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be 5 years from today. I'm not gonna put a timeline on it, because that's what like kind of crushes you. But I think it's still important to keep having goals. Just don't put a timeline on it.
Yeah.
Because with this injury, it's like gains don't happen monthly or even yearly. It's like every other year or something. And you know, I'll go 2 years without seeing any changes.
Wow.
And that's me putting like 3 hours, 4 hours of work a day.
Wow. I mean, that's discipline right there.
It is, man.
Yeah.
It's my job.
You got like Jocko in one ear and Goggins in the other, like rah rah rah, you know.
But then I look at it as like, what else am I gonna do?
Yeah. Feel sorry for yourself, sit home and rot. You know.
And I knew that at a very early stage in my recovery. It's like, okay, this morphine drip, this feels good.
Mm-hmm.
This numbs my brain. This numbs the pain. But once I'm out of this setting and I'm in that world, the reality world, I don't have this.
Right.
So I knew it was like very important for me to get off all the meds and
feel,
get to work and feel. Yeah. It's okay to feel. It sucks, but I think you need that, because then you appreciate it when you get those gains.
Yeah. I see that with, you know, a lot of back injuries, man. I think we have 12 or 14 people down this week.
Yeah.
With back injuries. And it's like, I know the pain sucks. I've been there, but yet for a minute there, you you got to feel it. You know, you got to get off the opiates. You got to get off the anti-inflammatories and
gotta
heal.
get it's
Feel it.
hard. It's hard to get off that because
stuff's
it
hard.
feels good. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, it feels good, but it's longevity and if you do want to heal and progress, like you're not gonna be able to do that if you're on that.
You're not even gonna know if you are.
Yeah.
Because you're just gonna be at that numb.
Yeah.
You know,
Gosh.
for sure.
I always tell like this. I'm like, two things you never want to screw up in the human body is like the brain and the spinal cord, because it's so complicated. Like it's so much going on. It's those two things run the body.
Mm-hmm.
You'd never want to miss up those signals up there or on that spinal cord of yours.
Back injuries, man.
Yeah.
If you haven't had one, you don't know, man. Don't know.
I've had a couple friends that broke their back since I broke mine, and they got so lucky. Like they broke their back, but when they burst fractured their vertebrae, like none of the bone fragments went in the spinal cord, and they made a 100% return.
Wow.
Like breaking your back, if you've broken your back, or if you break your back and you didn't sustain a spinal cord injury while you did it, you're one lucky motherfucker.
I'm pretty lucky. I mean, my disc blew out, but I fractured 3 vertebrae. No.
And I'm lucky.
You know?
I'm lucky. Yeah, I had bone fragments chopped into my spinal cord, but I didn't cut it completely in half.
Yeah.
Like if that bone fragment would have severed my spinal cord completely, this journey would have been a lot different.
Sure thing, yeah. That's crazy. Well, let's see what these stem cells can do. We don't know yet, you know? This is just let's give it a shot, right?
And it's like,
you know?
And the cool thing is like, okay, even if it doesn't like help with the spinal cord injury, like I've gone to war. Like I've been to war. So like I dislocated my hip, my shoulders, I have back pain and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I have one massive problem, but I still have a lot of other problems that I have to deal with on the daily. I don't talk about it because I have one massive problem, but even it helps like those little problems, that goes a long ways with my recovery.
Yeah.
And even with my daily.
Are you going to inject your shoulder or anywhere else?
No, I think we're just going to go straight to the back. And yeah, because I mean, I do have back pain too. I have a lot of metal back there, and I'm pretty sure I got, I think there's there must be a lot of inflammation back there or something, because it's always it's always kind of aching a little bit. I have a lot of muscle groups that are not working, like my glutes are not firing properly, so I compensate a lot with my lower back. So, but even if it releases a little pain and stuff, that goes a long ways. And hey, I always want to look young, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, you can do your face while you're here if you want.
Gosh, keep
Get
me looking
Dr.
young.
Mariella to work on it.
Hey, I'm single, so I'm single and living in LA, so I gotta keep up with those standards.
Live in LA. Yeah.
Gosh, that place is. I don't even want to talk about LA.
It's a whole different beast, man. Well, before we get out of here, plug your podcast. And also, I remember when I talked to you, like you have some really cool sponsors right now.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I like the way they support you. So, I mean, you know, we're not a huge podcast, but plug them anyways.
No, I love it. Yeah, started a podcast, shot my first episode last week. It's called Rise and Ride. I have yet to launch it, but I'm hoping to launch that in the next couple of weeks. We'll be talking a lot about how to overcome adversity. There'll be a lot of guests on the podcast that have faced a lot of adversity in their life, and everyone deals with it in a different way. So stoked to start that new chapter. Representing a lot of new brands this year. Canyon Bikes is my bike sponsor. I specialize for e-bikes, which is super cool. IXS is a sponsor of mine for helmets and outerwear. Ride Concepts for shoes, and Sun Tour for suspension. I got a few. And Schwabi for
the
tires.
The tire company. I like those guys. They
Schwabi
cool.
tires.
Schwabi's.
Yeah.
I need to buy some.
Yeah.
They make them for the Suron.
Oh, and Pit Viper. Like all the brands I ride for
those
now.
Those are the shades, right?
Yeah. That's such a fun company to work for. And it's cool. Like I've been doing this since 2004, and it's I'm very blessed to work with brands that are cool people behind the brand.
Yeah.
There's a lot of brands out there that can maybe throw a lot more money towards you, but at the end of the day, it's like, who do you want to work with? So if I feel very blessed and thankful to be representing these brands that actually have a really good personal relationship with the people behind the brands.
Yeah. So I got my second Suron. It's still all stock. So if they make tires that'll fit the Suron, I'm getting some. Send me the link.
Yeah, Schwabe doesn't make tires for that.
But come on, Schwabe, what's up? What's up?
I know.
Surons are taking off.
But we can pimp that out with like some Suntour suspension for sure.
Oh yeah, I definitely upgrade
because you
the
need suspension on that thing.
Suspension's garbage.
Yeah, those things stock suspension is the worst.
That's why how do you say it?
Talaria.
It's better, huh? With the stock stuff
it
on
is.
that. Yeah,
that's the way to go.
But it's fun because it's cheap. You just do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah, and you can
I got
build
the
those things out.
Marzocchis or however you say it.
Marzocchis, yeah.
Marzocchis on my other bike. They're nice.
That's good.
I heard the Fox 40s or whatever is supposed to be really good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the Bombers.
Yeah, all good stuff.
Yeah.
All good stuff. But
all right, buddy. Well, thanks for coming on.
Dude, thanks.
Look forward to seeing you in 3 months when you come back for a checkup. So come back, get your free checkup, free MRI, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, having me on your podcast. Thanks for doing rad shit and helping people live a better life.
That's the plan. Yeah.
So thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Need more people like you guys in this space.
Bring me some more guys down here. Sean Palmer, if you're listening, love to hang out with Mini Shred.
Dude, we can get Palmer here.
Get his ass down here, man. That guy was like my hero when I was a kid. Like I met him like twice, I think. Once at Stratton and once in Colorado, I think it was.
Back such a wild, amazing guy.
The sport was like nothing back then. It was like we're out there with shovels building our own half pipe and stuff like that, you know. And Sam, Mr. Pilgrim, open door for him too.
Love that.
Anytime. Yeah.
Love that.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Right on, guys. See ya.